Welcome to the Dream 100 Show, the epicenter of influence, collaboration, and exponential growth. You're about to discover the power of relationships. Dream 100 relationships. And you're one relationship away from a totally different business and life. This is your host, Michael Tasner.
Hey there, and welcome to this week's edition of the Dream 100 Show. Today's topic is all about the Dream 100 and leveraging AI. So a lot of people have asked, how is AI going to transform things? What does AI look like the next couple of years? How are you leveraging it within the Dream 100 framework in teachings? And I wanted to kind of unpack some things behind the scenes and to give you some strategies, some tactics, and some action steps that you can start to take. Now, the disclaimer, or really the asterisk to all of this, is that AI in general is going to continue to disrupt. If you look at how mobile marketing and cell phones disrupted things, AI is disrupting things at a pace that I have never, ever seen before. Like, absolute insanity. The world in the next couple of years is going to look drastically different than it does right now. So you can either not even get on the bandwagon because the bandwagon has been moving, but you can either pretend that it's not happening or you can start to experiment. And I'm at this stage where we're experimenting with a lot of different AI tools, softwares, models. We love to purchase different software tools. So as the time that I'm recording this, ChatGPT just rolled out their ChatGPT operator. And it's $200 a month. And it essentially allows you to have ChatGPT start to complete tasks. So for example, I said I'm going to Orlando. Here are the dates. I want you to go on OpenTable and Resi. And for a family of 6, I want you to go through, compile reservations for these couple of dates. And then I want you to put them onto a spreadsheet and let me know when you're done. And within about an hour, popped out a nicely organized spreadsheet with exactly what I wanted. So I could argue that right there, that could potentially replace most of the admin assistant work that I have that's currently helping me. So we're playing with the operator a little bit further and saying, can you go and do this research for the Dream 100? Can you go and look for other people like this? Can you go through accounts on X and find people that are in this particular industry that have these type of accounts? Can you leverage this software tool? Can you do this and that? And we're starting to test it out and see where its limitations are. But also, what can this thing actually do? Can it completely replace a lot of the research stage? Can it automate a lot of the email sending? Like, what can it actually do? So that's one tool that you want to start playing with. But if I take a few steps back and look at what do you need to be doing now to be able to continue to execute the Dream 100 framework, that would be training whatever AI engine that you want to be using the most on your audience, on your brand, on you, on your style, so that you can then start to execute this hyper personalization. That is what makes the Dream 100 process, the Dream 100 framework. That's what makes it work so well, is that it's all about hyper personalization. We're building this big list of 100 plus people. We're whittling it down to the ones that we believe are going to have the biggest impact. Whether those are 100 media people, whether those are 100 people that are partners or potential joint ventures, or your prospects. We're whittling it down to roughly those 100. And then we start the hyper-personalization process. And if you start to train your AI, if you start to tell it more about you, your brand, the way that you communicate, as you start to find these names and these connections, you can say something like this. I want to send a gift to this particular person Here are some of the demographics and some of the information that we've found. Can you give me 10 ideas that would be extremely hyper-personalized in the $50 to $100 range? And it's going to spit out 10 different things. Now, what we're also doing is, as we're gathering all the research, we're loading all of that research in so that we're training it on the people. So we're going to say, here's our Dream 100 people that we found. We're going to say, here's the information on the demographics that we found. It's going to also have all the information about how we're communicating and how we're leveraging our brand and kind of my style, so that as it starts to suggest content or gifts or other avenues that we should pursue, it's going to be authentic. And that is one of the biggest words I need you to understand from today's episode. Hyper-personalization is one, authentic is the other. Where people are messing everything up when it comes to AI is that they're going to an AI engine, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, it doesn't really matter, whatever engine. And they're saying, pretend that you're an expert in this field, give me 200 pieces of content that I can post on social media. Now, while that's fine and dandy, the downside is everyone else is doing the exact same thing. If you know that your competitors are doing very similar things, the only way that you're going to have a leg up against them, if they're using a similar tool or the same tool, is that your GTP, your tool, is going to be trained on your brand, on your style, on what makes you different and unique so that it's authentic. The messaging sounds authentic. The messaging sounds like you. It feels like you. You're on brand. 2025 and beyond is going to be the year of brand. Consumers are really connecting to brands. If your brand doesn't mean anything, you're going to be in for an uphill battle. So if you just start to spew out miscellaneous content or all this AI stuff when you're executing the Dream 100 framework, it's going to look and feel inauthentic. If your style is very direct, and then AI spits out content that's fluffy and you start posting that on your social media accounts, it's going to look inauthentic. So what I want you to look at doing is to feed in your content that you've written. Feed in information about you, your background, your bio. Load in your painted picture or vivid vision, as I've talked about on this podcast, so it understands more about you and your business. Load in any of your goals and vision statements. Load in all of this so that it almost gets to the place where it's a clone of you. And when you get to a place where you're going back and forth and it literally is asking you certain questions and it's pushing back and it's challenging you, but it's challenging you based on what it knows about you, the content it's going to put out, the suggestions, the project ideas, the pushback, all of that stuff is going to be on brand. Now, the other place that we're using it is this concept of hyper-personalization. I've talked a lot about kind of building and having a great customer experience, but there's this shift that's been occurring. And it's very, very subtle, and I'm calling this shift to the human experience, shifting from the customer experience to the human experience. It's more about this connection economy and really connecting, not just, okay, great, you had a good experience, but you had a good connection kind of as a human. People are always saying, well, I mean, AI is going to replace everything and there's going to be no more conferences ever anymore and you're not going to need to have sales calls or nothing. It's just all going to be AI. Nothing is ever going to replace the need and the desire for human-to-human connection and human-to-human interaction. Are things going to be augmented by AI? 100%. Are we all going to have robots in 5 to 10 years? Most likely 100%. Are some people only going to have robots and you're never going to see them come out of their house? 100%. But people, they desire, they yearn for that connection, that human interaction. So where AI can help take your Dream 100 framework and strategies to the next level is really going extremely deep on your Dream 100 relationships. And as you're feeding and loading more and more information into the framework, into the tool, it's going to get more and more in depth of, well, now I really understand what you're going for here. Now I really understand, here are the types of gifts that you've already sent. Here's some of the messaging that you've already executed. And you can get it to the place where it's hyper-personalizing emails for every single one of those relationships. It's personalizing podcast invites to the nth degree for every one of those relationships. It's giving you a dozen or more gift ideas based on all the information that you've fed it in. And now you kind of are this cog in a wheel where you're just executing based on the different pieces. So it's helping accelerate things, but it's helping make sure that I don't skip steps. A lot of people love to skip. They love to load in 100 names, send 100 emails, 100 podcast invites, 100 gifts, generically. Dear so-and-so, I love your background. I have a podcast on this topic. I'd love to have you be my guest. And you will get some bites. But that is the exact opposite of what I'm teaching here. I can give you case study upon case study of businesses, myself included, of people that have smaller presences on social media or Facebook closed groups that have 1,000 people that generate $1 million or more in revenue. I can give you case studies of people with 5,000 Instagram followers that generate $5 to $10 million a year in revenue from that particular audience. Because they get to a level where they are so intertwined with their audience and that human interaction, that human connection and element that it feels like you're almost like best friends, like you know everything about this person. That is how AI is helping us accelerate. It's that hyper-personalized emails, the social media content, the gifting strategy. So rather than me just going through the gifts that we tend to send, we're going to load in more information and have it give us other ideas that we never thought about and kind of challenge us to go to that next level. Now, that doesn't mean that we're throwing everything out the window that we've been using that has proven to work, but we might say, hey, we haven't heard anything from this relationship in 6 months. We've sent these 2 gifts. Here's the information about the person. Here's what we've sent. Can you give me 10 gift ideas that are outside the box, that are hyper-personalized to get their attention? And you would be shocked as to the ideas that came through. One that we just started testing was custom Oreos with their picture on them. And I can tell you that that one has started to generate callbacks and responses. Now, I've looked at the Oreo thing in the past. I forgot about it. It wasn't on any of our lists. It might have been on our radar somewhere. But the AI tool simply pushed us, gave us some other ideas, something to think about, and then we test. And then we continue to feed in data. The core piece to all of this is you need to continue to feed in data. You have to own your data. You have to give it as much data as you possibly can. It's not going to replace this strategy, but it's going to help you get a lot faster to the place where, dare I say, you could be deploying multiple Dream 100 audiences at the same time. You could have your Dream 100 press campaign going. You could also have a Dream 100 partnership campaign going because you have some of these tools to help you move quicker. That is how it is positively impacting everything that we're doing. And as we're continuing to feed that data, by the end of the year, we're going to have more data than everyone so that it just is so much more powerful. If you're not training an engine, if you're not training an agent, a GTP, for example, get out there, start loading in your data, and just start playing with it and testing the waters. Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'll see you next week.